Unless she passes these 3 checkpoints in the interaction, you're not going to move it forwards anyway. Currently, you might be afraid of asking a woman out because you're worried that she's going to reject you, and that's really, really going to hurt. Luckily, I've developed a really smart workaround for this by giving you a simple 3 checkpoint system that you can pass through so you know you're getting all of the right feedback loops before you make your move. Most guys approach their how and when to ask her out question back to front. It's like a foregone conclusion that you definitely want to date with her, and so then you start to really sweat it out that any move you make can potentially be wrong and screw it up and mean that she's no longer attracted to you. Instead of starting at the end, it's time that you developed a much smarter strategy for your dating life. From my program, Attraction Point, you should know by now that attraction is your reason to approach her, connection is your reason to ask her on a date. So it's like, unless you're getting great feedback from her during the interaction, you're not even worried about that end destination because you haven't decided for yourself yet whether she's the kind of woman you want to invest more time in. If you are constantly chasing after the wrong women and you really need to have better standards for your dating life, I can't encourage you enough to head over to hayleyquinn.com/attraction. I've created a really good cheat sheet for you there to work through the standards that you absolutely must have to make a success of your dating life. So see it this way, unless she passes these 3 checkpoints in the interaction, you're not going to move it forwards anyway. So you're only going to be asking out women who are really showing that they are as invested as you are in the outcome of that interaction. So checkpoint number 1 is that she's contributing to the interaction. Now, I know this sounds obvious, but sometimes you may have fallen into a trap of not even considering this as a factor. Now, a woman who hasn't invested in the interaction would be a woman who you only have seen on social media, a woman who you've just seen her profile on a dating app and you haven't actually had much, if any, interaction with, a woman who you are interacting with but only replies with like 3-word messages or gifs, or maybe a woman who lives locally who you know, or someone who's serving in a coffee shop who, again, your amount of actual interaction with them is very limited. With all these kinds of women, your first job is really to engage with her and to establish if there is a connection there, rather than going, I'm attracted to her, therefore I want to go on a date with her. And of course, even if this is how you're feeling, that's not usually a very attractive narrative for the woman to feel around a date. So like not even 9 times out of 10, 99.99 times out of 100, she's not going to go on a date with you anyway. So although it's better for your self-esteem to develop standards, it's also going to get you better results in your dating life. So the second checkpoint I want you to pass through is that she's giving you more information than what you've asked for. So if you're just firing loads of questions at her and she's just really not contributing much back, or she's avoiding responding to parts of the conversation, or is giving the bare minimal response, or only responds to every 3rd message you send her, just like leave it. Instead, you really want her to be at the point she's starting to feel more comfortable contributing something to the interaction, something that you actually haven't requested. So this could be just sharing some information about herself, as simple as like what she's up to that day, or even better, it might be doing things to try and impress you in the interaction. So she could be talking about a cool work project she's doing, how she's crushed some fitness goal, how she's starting her own business. If she's trying to make an effort to impress you and show you, hey, I'm super cool, as well, then this means that's a second good checkpoint to pass through for this interaction. Your third checkpoint is that you start to communicate to her that she's passed some of your standards and that your attraction to her is growing, and then we see what her reaction is to that. To be able to do this requires you to have had a pretty decent interaction and in-depth conversation with her. If you can't say to a woman, I like how you're witty, funny, candid, spontaneous, a super planner. Like if you can't say any of those things about her, if you don't know them or you haven't noticed it, that's a pretty good indicator that your conversation just hasn't got to the right depth and level for it to be an option for you to ask her out. Remember, to be a truly high standards guy, you've got to communicate to her that there's more and beyond just her looks that would make you want to spend time with her and ask her out. Again, if this is not how you've been interacting with women and you feel like you often end up chasing after women and just exhausting yourself and it just does not come right, you've got to head over to hayleyquinn.com/attraction. I've created a really good worksheet for you there. It's totally free. go and get it, and it's going to help you to start to build a completely new framework for your interactions. Either way, I hope you've really enjoyed this video, and I'll see you again very soon.